Hey, everybody. It's the Noisy Neighbors podcast. It is me, Joy McCune, joined as always by Mark Mulvaney. If only you could see us.
If only you could see us.
There we go. Hey. Good job.
Still amateurs at this, aren't we? Massive amateurs.
Yeah. All right, Mulv.
Here we are again.
Yeah, we did it. Don't know why we're doing this on the internet again. Time to get sad some more. Actually, we're doing something different today. We have a guest because it just so happens that City have a match coming up on Wednesday against a team that probably feels a little bit hard done by this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. That's why we want these guys on, because this isn't just about us, mate.
No,
it's about football.
This is I mean, at this point, we could pretty much just invite people on just to dunk on our club with us.
Yeah,
you know, because our club doesn't give a shit about us.
No.
Why should we? So, let's not waste any more time. We've got from what is it, for the Love of Paul McGrath podcast? We've got Neil all the way from beautiful Ireland. All right, Neil.
Hi, guys. How are we doing, guys? I'm very good. Thanks a million for asking me on.
Of course.
Yep. The plan here, Neil, is to get the take of a fan of a club just outside this elite cartel of menaces to football, because we're unfortunately we're on the inside now. Never sort of wanted to be. We always felt as City fans we were sort of outsiders, but now we're the baddies. So we want somebody just on the outside of this thing to get their perspective on it. See how you're feeling, mate. We're devastated. We are embarrassed, and we feel a bit betrayed by City. So what's been your instant reaction, mate?
Well, first of all, I'm going to start off, and Joy, you might get this more than most other people, but you guys are the art model of... So Art Modell stole the Cleveland Browns away. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. The Art Modell stole the Cleveland Browns away in '94, and took them and made the Baltimore Ravens, and that's essentially what's happened here. I can't make
do it in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah, City. You did do it in the middle of the night. Absolutely. When you thought no one was watching. That's what you did. I know.
Unbelievable.
Look, I can't make sense of this. Because realistically speaking, the City's PSG aren't in it, but a lot of the clubs especially the Premier League clubs that are absconding, they had everything they could ever need. Like genuinely, it was rigged in their favor anyway. You know, so I don't understand what this is for. What this is about. It seems that they don't trust UEFA to negotiate TV deals, and that seems to be it. That seems to be the crux of it, and it's probably it's interesting the way that Florentino Perez was obviously re-elected again, and it was all hinging on his re-election. Is what my view is, on his re-election, because as we know, Barca and Real Madrid, they negotiate their own TV deals. So they probably went to the rest of the clubs going, you guys are idiots for not negotiating your own TV. What? You mean you let someone else negotiate it? We've got it sewn up here in Spain. We're getting bazillions more than any other club in Spain. So why don't you come over here? Let us show you how to negotiate deals, and we'll make absolute wheelbarrow loads of money,
Yeah,
you know, and screw the rest of the guys, you know, because they've been doing it in Spain for years.
True. Yeah.
The point you made, Neil, about the teams who have signed up for this, particularly the English teams, already having everything their own way, is interesting because they set up the Premier League, they set up the Champions League, and even that wasn't enough. You know, they bottled it. They got themselves into massive debts in some cases, and now they feel like they have to, you know, take that very last step and just close the shop to themselves. So yeah, it's disappointing that you know, it's gone that next level to where clubs like your own aren't in that anymore. And what's interesting to me, Aston Villa, how many top flight titles?
Gosh, I can't even think. I know the last time I was going down through this just with my with my co-host on our own podcast recently. We were saying that Spurs last won the title in 1961, top flight title in 1961. we won it in 1981. We went away. We won the European Cup in 1982. And I read a ridiculous thing, absolutely, literally, a mind-blowingly. How will I put it? It's like and this just has Florentino Perez's fingerprints all over it. So I read something there that, like, Real Madrid are going to start off the Super League being a 13-time Super League champion, that they're going to bring their Champions League titles with them.
No.
And completely rewrite history, which is great because Aston Villa, having never been in the Super League, will have already been a one-time Super League champion. So this is fantastic for us. Our marketing goes through the roof. We deserve bazillions of money for it. Same with Style Bucharest. So it's great. It's WWE stuff is what it is. It's ridiculous. Now, I saw it. I don't know how reliable that site is called. I can't remember what the site is called, but they've got about 2 or 3 million followers. So I think they might be small. They might be more reputable, and they've been pretty on the money with a lot of stuff they've had at the inside line on this. But I think it was Paolo Tenio, I think his name is. He's
Paul Tenorio.
Yeah. Tenorio. Yeah. So that's who reported it, and I must say that is the most comical aspect of this so far.
What a move! Actually, we've been the champs a bunch.
Don't you have?
This existed for decades, guys. It didn't just come into talk about rewriting, gaslighting at the highest order.
Pretty sure Villa have like 7 top flight titles.
Yeah, I think that's seven titles. Yeah,
Sunderland have more than I think City.
Yeah,
or we're level with Sunderland. And
I mean,
just
Huddersfield's got more than Spurs, I think.
Yeah, they got 3, haven't they? It's like, how did they decide who these clubs were? They got invited.
The Spurs, I'll tell you how it is funny because they keep, you know, I think Der Spiegel put out the contract or the agreement that came out a few years ago, and Spurs aren't even listed in there. And then Spurs are like, what about this? What if we put up a new stadium and you know, we'll play nice. We won't try to ruffle any feathers. We'll take Gareth Bale on loan from Real Madrid. Get those wages off.
Let me ask you this, Neil. Had football already crossed the threshold for you, or in terms of the elite, the haves and the have-nots, or did you still feel like Villa were on the rise and could break into, you know, the Champions League and all that, or was that ship already sailed?
That's a super question, because I think the COVID was going to be the great equalizer for a lot of clubs, because Villa are finally, and look, I'm not going to sit here and be, well, I am, because I can. I'm going to sit here and be holier than thou. But
today's the day, mate. Today's the day.
Allow it. I will allow it.
But Villa, like, Villa's new owners are mega rich, you know, like Nassif Sawiris and Wes Edens. Between the two of them, they're worth the ones at 10 billion between the two of them. So, like, we're talking Abramovich money behind Villa at the moment. And this is, for us, it's kind of like a case whereby this is the second time we've been, I was going to say something awful there, but second time we've been screwed over by Man City. Because when Randy Lerner came into the club, we had bazillions behind us. The next thing, City came along with, like,
shout out the Browns.
State-owned, yeah. Shout out to the Browns again, yeah. But state-owned company or state-owned soccer club again, you know. So look, it's just one of those things. I think that we could have broke into the Champions League. I genuinely believe that it could have been fair game. I think the likes of Arsenal, obviously, and Spurs. I don't know where Spurs are going. I genuinely don't. I think they need this league because basically Joe Lewis, who owns Spurs, doesn't want to like you never hear about Joe Lewis. You always hear about Daniel Levy. That's
Right.
great because Joe Lewis just turns his 3.9 billion into 4.2 billion every year. And he makes his 300 million or whatever it is. I read somewhere out of Spurs. They're a well-run club. Don't get me wrong. They've got fantastic smarts up there in the boardroom, but they've always been run as a PLC. They really have always been run as a PLC, and it's not a case whereby that's news to anyone. So when Spurs, when this came about, Spurs would definitely have been itching to get an invite to the table here. Arsenal are a real head scratcher. Stan Kroenke has money, just couldn't be bothered to spend it. But what he wants to do, so he's the epitome of a vulture from the vulture fund with regards to this Kroenke. And then you've got I don't understand them being invited at all, those two clubs. But of all the clubs, I think I'm most disappointed in Liverpool because the working man's club, the club with all the history, and they've been through an awful lot, and the fans have really lifted that club out, Phoenix from the ashes or whatever you want to call it, and they've really kind of, you even see Klopp today before the game.
Mm-hmm.
Klopp turned around and basically said we weren't consulted. This was basically players, management, and we're not exactly happy with it, and we want the fans to be on board. Now, whether Klopp was sent out to be the PR machine because they know that he can get away with basically saying what he wants, and the fan base will believe it because he's earned the right to do that. And I think what he says is how he feels, but it's such a messed up situation. I think by the time we look at maybe Friday or Saturday of this week, and we see if UEFA actually do, put their money where their mouth is and expel the other three clubs and call PSG the champions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have the ramifications throughout the course of Europe, but I still don't think the Premier League have the balls to expel the teams. I don't think they do, and I think no matter what happens, the teams will win in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, they're going to hold the league hostage.
I think
that's
so,
that's what it is. The six in the Premier League know that the Premier League needs them just to make that TV deal, like it or not, just doesn't bring in the same money if those six clubs aren't there. The same thing goes for Italy. I saw today Serie A had a meeting, and AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Juventus were all involved in that. I think it's pretty fair to say that no one's watching Serie A if it's not for those three clubs and maybe Roma. Spain, I mean, that's pretty, everyone knows what the Spain deal is, but it's I think it's going to come down to the clubs are just going to hold the league hostage and say, well, you're dead without us, so let us in. We're going to play who we feel like playing in the league or don't feel like playing in the league. We're gonna operate under a completely different financial structure.
That's the thing.
Everybody else,
yeah.
And you guys can't say anything about it.
Essentially, what it would be is
the scumbaggery at the highest order.
The Premier League will literally just be keeping players fit for the Super League, and it's some spit in the face. The fact that they know they can get away with it, but then again, look. And I know I probably won't make any friends in this podcast saying this, but they're UEFA are their own worst enemies from what they've done as well. I'm not saying that UEFA are victims in this at all. This should have been nipped in the bud 5-10 years ago. They should have UEFA before the clubs got so big. UEFA should have hit them with financial fair play penalties. They should have looked at something like this, but when you let teams away with it and stuff like that, and I'm not saying that like Villa flew close to the sun there as well. We sold our stadium to Suarez and Edens, and next thing then it came back, and we were under investigation from the Football League and from the Premier League as well. But it turned out that it was all kosher and it stayed within the parameters. So look, I'm not going to say that the loopholes aren't there or whatever, but I think when financial fair play was introduced, it was the precursor to this, because as Arsene Wenger said, it was going to be financial doping. Some teams were going to live by the sword and do it to the letter of the law. Other teams weren't going to do it, and then it became a case whereby UEFA brought that in, and then the Premier League goes, oh God, we have to bring in something similar now and a completely different set of rules with bigger thresholds. and then the knock on down to the Championship, and then the knock on down to the EFL. It was such a slippery slope when that happened, and what was supposed to stop clubs like Bury and Bolton going out of business then became so convoluted because everybody was working on different planes of financial ability. And like the biggest thing here, and I know I'm going massively off topic, but like what really grinds my gears with the whole money in football situation is that Bill Kenwright wanted to save Bury Football Club by giving them literally you want to give them a gift of £1 million to keep them afloat.
Yep.
And because he was a non-directive board member of Everton, the EFL wouldn't allow him, so they let Bury go to the wall on the grounds of a technicality. He could have put it into a shell company, and the shell company could have bought Bury, but he said time is of the essence. There's a check, and they said no. And look, we are where we are. So it's not like football itself is riddled with this disease, but it's I just don't think this is the way to solve it. I don't think the Super League is the way to solve it.
Something interesting just happened to me, Neil, and that is remember you were talking about how City have screwed Villa over twice, and you talked about Randy Lerner, and then the Sheikh came in, what have you, and one-upped you. And then you mentioned the word state-owned when you described City. Now, before Sunday, if I saw that or heard that on Twitter, wherever, I'm in. I'm typing. We're not state-owned, blah, blah, blah. Today, as of yesterday, I no longer have the energy to fight, to fight any of the banter, any of the trolls that launched these jibes at Manchester City for financial fair play or being state owned or what have you. And I've lost my fight because now we're in the elite club, the cartel, and it's a bit embarrassing. And it's embarrassing to think of all the hours I've spent doing that. Because from my perspective, and I think I speak for some City fans here, not all of them, but our thought was that City were like the White Knight sort of thing, that we were going to get into the elite. We were going to crack into it. We were going to rid Europe of financial fair play so that owners could invest in any club they wanted, and any club could dream of being bought or investing enough in their infrastructure and players to break into the elite as well themselves. So making it an option for everybody, the dream that one day your club might do a Manchester City, or hopefully what's going on with Villa. Villa are climbing with big investment. I thought City were doing the work for everybody.
Like a Robin Hood type situation.
Yeah. But what happened was they got into the elite club and then fucking closed the door behind them, right? And that's what has stabbed us in the chest this weekend. Is we feel like mugs. Like we thought we were the good guys, and we're not.
Am I right in saying this, Mulv, though? Am I right in saying this? I put up something on Twitter, and I had left Man City out of my criticism. So basically, all I did was I just took the league table and I crossed out the teams that I knew were part of it. Because when this started to break, about a half an hour, 45 minutes before they started to break, there was conflicting like reports as to whether City were even involved. And what it turned, like what I've read and what I've heard, and actually heard it from 2 or 3 Spurs fans today, of all people, they said that City had to be actually cajoled into it because for 2 reasons. Look, the money was too hard to turn down, and the second reason was, and this was one of the reasons as well, the Spurs guys were saying that themselves and Arsenal were invited in, was they need rivalries, they need proper rivalries. So AC, Inter, Real Madrid, and Barcelona, and then you've got City United. They wanted to get Bayern Munich in there, who obviously said no. It's interesting. No German teams have been in there, obviously, because of the fan-owned rule. I would imagine the fans would just veto it
immediately. Yep.
So it's a really interesting one that, while, as I said, the 4 of the clubs you would expect, like Man United, and this is where I win my friends back. Man United are devil incarnate. Like the 2 Glazers can literally go and go and take a short walk off or take a long walk off a short plank for all I care. You know,
Perfect.
They really can. Like the fact that they even penned, like it, basically they penned the statement that all the rest of the clubs went out and said was really strange last night.
Well aware.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was like, and the fact that, like, you see all this stuff. I know the Serafin came out from UEFA today, and he basically said, "Well, listen, Ed Woodward had basically given me his blessing and his seal of approval on Thursday night with regards to the new Champions League format." Then he announces it, and he pulls out on Sunday night, pulls out of all the club agreements. So snakes in the grass, I think, is what you'd have to call Man United at the moment. And to be honest with you, they've shown their true colours, especially when Alex Ferguson starts hopping up and down. And you know what you like about him, man of. Look, he is that club, but they've just looked straight over his head and gone, we really don't care.
What's your feeling, Neil? Are we going to be able to stop this, or is it the train left the station?
Good question. Simon Jordan was on TalkSport this morning. He thinks that this won't go ahead. He thinks that, and I, you know what, for all the hyperbole, sometimes he says he's a bloody good listen, and he knows the business of football, and he's made all the mistakes. And yes, some people might find him a small bit arrogant, but my God, look, as I say, he talks truth, and he's a good communicator, a good speaker. He thinks this won't go ahead. He thinks that the Premier League will back down. I think his thought was that he thinks that the team should be thrown up, but he thinks the Premier League will back down. He thinks that there will be concessions made on both sides with regards to probably the amount of money that's kind of earned and the distribution, because if you look at the way that money is going to be distributed with regards to this new Super League, it's not even distributed fairly. You know, 5 of the 12 clubs get 350 million, and then it's a sliding scale then based on the revenue that you've brought in, and like it goes all the way down to Arsenal and Spurs get 100 and 125 million each. I think it's Arsenal. Actually, it is Arsenal and Spurs. I know this. So essentially, like, they're going into this league to prop up the rest of the guys. They can never earn as much as the rest, as the top 5 teams. And then what happens is when you invite those 5 teams in, and I only read this before I came on, the teams that are being invited in actually stand to earn pretty much, nowhere near that money. It's 15% of earnings is what they get. It's literally, they almost have to pay a tax to enter the European Super League. There's a really good article, I can send it on to you guys afterwards. It's really good. It's actually from November of last year, when this was originally being muted, and a guy had gotten a copy of the financial breakdown of it at that stage. So I'll send it on. I'm sure maybe it's changed a small bit now, but to get back to your question, I think it can be stopped, but I think they're just going to have to give it. I think the clubs now have everybody over a barrel, I think, really, and it's going to be a case of, well, if you don't allow us in, we'll just go and set up our league, as you say. And it's not going to be Sky or BT. It's like Sky and BT must be shivering with fear here as well, because Amazon's going to get in the market. Comcast are going to get in the market.
Or just make their own channel.
They won't even. I don't even think they do that. I think Netflix get in. I think Disney Plus get in. All these big streaming, Peacock in the States, whatever. All these big streaming sites, like Peacock went away and bought the WWE network for $1 billion. They can fire money left, right, and center. They want to be a big player in sports and entertainment, or whatever you want to call it. So, like, it's, for me, Sky and BT are scratching their heads going, we've created a runaway train, and we've told everybody that they're the best thing ever and blew smoke at them for 25, 30 years, and now we can't control them. And that's exactly what's happened. Yeah. But I didn't even answer your question. I think we're playing a Premier League season in September. I think we're playing a Premier League season. I think that the coefficient piece will come in like UEFA wanted, but I think that there will be a bigger slice of the pie given to certain teams that draw more crowds, and we'll just have to suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. There is no pretty outcome to this.
No.
Like this morning. What's the guy's name on Sky Sports? Cave, I think.
Yes, I can't pronounce his name either. I know the guy you're talking about.
He said a lot of stuff that some like unnamed executive had mentioned, but one of the biggest things that I took away was that he said, is this football at civil war? And he said, no, this is nuclear war, which means that the clubs are willing to say, we don't care if we come back to your league or not. We're going to make more money without you regardless. Yeah. and the leagues are going to have to either say, all right, well, we're going to blow this thing up, or we're going to get cucked and just be like, all right, well,
that's the
pretty
problem.
please come back, I guess. I don't know. Please,
Yeah.
we'll be friends. It's very, very disgusting. The whole thing feels gross.
It's yeah, it's kind of like I can't think of the analogy. It's like no, I just can't completely on my mind. I had to go, believe me, it was good in my mind. I just couldn't get it out in my mouth. Yeah.
Well, we're happy for you that you can proudly wear your kit today. We cannot.
It'll be a while.
Yeah, so I'm wearing it. Like I'm just delighted to try it on. That's there was a sale on kits during the week.
How do you like Kappa, by the way? Do you enjoy Kappa?
I did. I enjoyed Kappa before COVID. I'll tell you that much, because there's been a lot of inactivity. So there's been it's a bit of a kick to the ego here. Having to buy, first of all, having to buy the XL, and then when you throw it on, you go,
am I jacked?
Yeah. Must be all that extra protein that I've been buying.
Yeah, Kappa quite nostalgic for City fans. We had a good run in Laser Blue with Kappa, and obviously the Gillingham game, the famous Division 2 playoff at Wembley, in the highlighter yellow and dark blue.
We were already talking about that game actually on our podcast as well. Yeah, that one. Yeah, the brother.
That is a Kappa. So yeah, good memories. Good memories. Anything else we want to touch on before we let you go, Neil? This has been really, really great to get the insight of somebody outside of the what we call them, the Big Six. No, there's something
seditious.
Seditious Six. I like that one.
Seditious Six, yeah. Topical at the moment, but it's no. I suppose. Look, tomorrow's game is good for me. Like we did an hour-long podcast. A lot of it was ranting and raving. I'm glad I did it before I came on your podcast, because it was a lot more animated at certain points. But I will be honest with you, and this is not just knowing my audience and saying it because you're City fans. I don't blame City. I don't blame City for this, because City could say where they are and they could just spend money like drunken sailors anyway, because you're one of the richest men in the world. It's it's United. It's United. It's Chelsea. Abramovich started this whole thing. He started the money in Chelsea thing. It's and I'm not even sure they're worthy of being in there myself. I know they're in the semi-finals, but it's really like the disappointing one for me is Liverpool, because no matter what, I like growing up, I would have always had a soft spot for Liverpool. And I've always said, look, listen, obviously lived through the Hillsborough. I was only a kid, but lived through Hillsborough. Obviously, Heysel had just happened before I was born and stuff like, all these little things happen. You have to, the Liverpool always had the moral high ground, and they were always kind of like the people's team. For me, and I'm not kicking Liverpool, I'm just saying it as I see it. For me, this is a real sea change and a shift whereby they're no longer the people's team anymore. And, that iconic kind of drag the city up by its bootstraps from Thatcherism is gone. It's just gone now. And it's, it can never be replaced. It's overnight gone.
What's the name of your Liverpool podcast, mate?
I don't.
For the love of Ronnie Whelan.
For the love of Phil Babb.
All right, mate. What are you saying, Joey? Is that good?
Yeah. I all day I've just been I didn't sleep last night. This is the first thing in a long time that I've just been like physically kind of fucked by.
Yeah, same.
And
I had the bloody shakes earlier today, mate.
Yeah,
I had the shakes. I was that angry.
And we'll talk about it like probably on our actual podcasting, but it's just, I think I feel, as an American fan, I feel bad for legacy fans. I feel bad for people that are like generational Blues or generational Reds or any of it, I guess, at this point, because it's kind of your identity. It's very tribal, and everyone thinks they're kind of fighting the good fight, and then you find out that all of them came together to just take a giant shit on the rest of the world of soccer, of football.
Soccer now officially.
All for just greed. Yeah, for sure. I was what was I listening to this morning? They were talking about, it's just going to be this thing. Europe isn't in the name of the Super League. It's just called the Super League. If you think these games are going to be played in front of their home fans often, there's no chance. This is going to be 100,000 people at the Rose Bowl to watch Real Madrid and Barcelona. This is going to be 85,000 people at the Meadowlands to watch Inter take on Juventus. This is gonna, gonna 60,000 people at some stadium in Beijing where Liverpool takes on United.
It'd be 60,000 Neil Patrick Harrises wearing City colours saying, "Go Man United."
Yeah.
Go Manchester.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, but look, I don't think that's a bad thing. But I don't think it's a bad thing that the game has a massive global fan base. It's the way that it's happening is just like it's putrid. It really is. Yeah. Could you imagine? Could you absolutely that when you look at the NFL, yes, they take NFL games down to Mexico and they take it over to London, but they don't even treat those as real games. Whereas the Premier League,
it's like, oh, this is neat.
Exactly, and I love it because I go over to London and I watch NFL games. Now you go over the whole time. I went over when the Browns were over there in 2015 or 16. And it's just it's fun and it grows the sport. The sport doesn't need growing, but what these clubs have decided is that this is where a whole new fan base is because if we can charge 175 or 200 quid for a ticket, we will. And we don't care who sits in the seat as long as somebody does. It doesn't have to be a fan. And that was brought in, like the Chelsea Revolution brought that in because you go to a game at Stamford Bridge and, it's tourists left, right, and centre.
Yeah. The moment that home games are being played in a different country, I think that completes the disconnect from the local.
Absolutely.
Having the word Manchester in your name or what have you, and that's the point where I think we can start using the term soulless.
Yeah,
it's soulless.
Yeah,
and it's plastic. And
why do I think of Daniel Levy whenever I hear the word soulless? I don't know what it is. I do because I think that like he's the first, for me anyway. I don't know. I could be wrong on this. He was the first footballing accountant to make it big.
Leeds have just they've drawn Liverpool 1-1 full time and put out.
Oh, so this is a great point.
Tweet of the
decade. The little guys.
Yeah, hell yeah, we're all Leeds fans today.
Come on, Leeds.
They put out tweet of the decade full time #LUFC holds Super League side Merseyside Reds to a 1-1 draw after a late Llorente equalizer.
We're having that. We're having it.
Merseyside Reds.
This brings up a great point that we talked before we came on air, and that is my reaction to this game even has changed. For weeks now have been praying that Liverpool don't make the Champions League spots so they don't get access to that Champions League money. Now, where's that sentiment gone? It doesn't even matter because Liverpool in the new scenario would always be in the Super League.
Yeah.
Mulv, do you remember?
Only for 23 years, though.
Yeah, only for 23 years, exactly. Yeah. Well, Joey, I'd be surprised if you knew about the Eurovision Song Contest. But here's one for you now.
I'm aware.
US listeners probably tune out for the next 45 seconds because you're not going to have a clue what I'm talking about here. So in Europe, we have this song contest that is absolutely horrendously bad, and every country gets a chance to enter it. But there are 10 founding members of the Eurovision Song Contest from way back in the 70s, maybe even the 60s. Now, Ireland are we've won it, I think, the most times. We've won it like 5 times. So we are the Liverpool or the Real Madrid, but we don't get entry just because we were the best at it. But the UK and a couple of more, basically the countries who had like BBC had a big budget. They could afford to put it on. Ireland couldn't.
RTE didn't have that money?
No. RTE were still doing like cardboard animation even up until 2004. But basically, like in the Eurovision, there's certain countries have to be in it every year, and that's what this is like. This is like Eurovision. You just have to be in it. And do you know why you can be in it? Well, because we've got the most money. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
So
seems fine.
yeah, really mightn't have connected with your US audience, but I said it anyway, and I can't take it back.
Oh, good analogy, mate. Love it.
Yeah.
Take us home, Joey.
Yeah, so we'll end this little thing here. Neil, thank you so much for taking. That's late at night
Thank
there.
you.
Thank you so much for taking time to come talk to us and dunk on our club with us. We appreciate it.
And as I say, it's look, and actually, I mean this in not a bad way, but you guys, for what's happened here, I think you guys, it was just too good of an offer to go along. I don't think you're the instigators. The instigators were the other side of Manchester, from what I can see, and yeah, I said, look, it is what it is. We'll see. We'll probably know more by Friday. Whenever UEFA make their decision, I think the Premier League will probably row in somewhere, probably in the middle after that, and I can see us playing Premier League football in September, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Plug your stuff, Neil.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, guys. You can catch me on @LoveMcGrath, as you can see below. All our podcasts are across all platforms, and we've recently started a YouTube channel. We started doing this crack as well, live stuff too. Yeah, myself and Paddy, and we do a team sheet tantrum, would you believe? So an hour before the game, when the team sheets are announced, we react to the team sheets. So 15-20 minute live show. That's usually our live show, and it's a bit of crack, as the Irish say. So if you guys are up to nothing and you want to come in and you want to make fun of our team, because we don't know what team we were going to play from one week to the next anymore, but and we won't have Jack Grealish, in case you're wondering. We won't. He just won't be playing. So there, so you can join us and you can find us. We're the only podcast that I know of that's called For the Love of Paul McGrath. So we'll be very, very easy to find.
All right.
There you go.
Brilliant,
Neil, thank you so much. This has been Noisy Pod. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, everybody. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
You're listening to the Noisy Neighbours podcast.